Welcome to the Student Staff Agreement Module, Peer Coach Edition. I'm April, one of the Assistant Directors, and I won't be reading the entire document to you guys, but I'm going to be highlighting some of our major expectations for you in the position as Peer Coach. At the end of this module, Peer Coaches will be able to define their role as a student staff member in their community and as a member of the Housing and Residence Life Department. They will also know when mandatory dates are for student staff for the upcoming academic year. And lastly, peer coaches will be able to interpret the expectations of housing and residence life when it comes to their responsibilities within the department. So now, let's dive right in. Let's talk about exactly what a peer coach is. A peer coach is a term that we've come up with in housing that's complementary to a resident assistant. These student staff members were selected to help our students be successful academically while they stay in our complexes. There's two variations of the term peer coach. You can be a new peer coach, which is considered a person that has not completed fall training or the leadership development course with a B or higher. And then there's our experienced peer coaches. They've completed the course with a B or higher, and they've attended a full fall training, as well as completed a full year of employment. So once you've decided where you are, experienced or new, make sure you talk with your supervisor about more specific responsibilities within your description. A couple of the responsibilities for peer coaches that we'd like to highlight is that we expect you to be visible, available, and accessible to the residents of your complex. We expect you all to maintain the decorations of your study lounge, including those bulletin boards surrounding the area, making sure that they stay up to date with academic success tips as well as need to know information. You may be asked to participate in floor or complex meetings during the first week of each academic year to help welcome the residents and show them what the services of a peer coach are. You also are encouraged to help the residents get involved in our campus organizations, our housing organizations, and any AHA programs that we might have. We expect you to assist residents in finding appropriate campus and community resources regarding personal, social, or academic needs. We also expect you to attend weekly staff meetings and biweekly or monthly coaching meetings with the coordinator for assessment and retention. We also expect you to attend weekly staff meetings led by your supervisor inside your complex. Last and certainly not least, if you hear anyone passing out misinformation or rumors about people in the hall or on the staff, we expect that you will put an end to those rumors. Make sure you guys are out there being great coaches. The next thing we'd like to emphasize is the importance of training. Congratulations! You're participating in the first part of our fall training. By listening to this module and getting an overview of what we expect of you and what you can expect in your job, you've already started your first part of fall training. The dates for fall training are listed here on the module. Make sure you pause the video to write those down, because also the spring dates are listed. Those are super important for you to know when you'll have to be back. Other things that you should know about training is that we expect for you to attend and participate in all the sessions, make positive contributions, and help those who might be new to the position. Peer coaches, along with other student staff members, are not permitted to take Summer 2 classes or complete internships that run over into Summer 2 without prior approval from their associate director. Once fall training is complete, the year is just getting started. Here are a few other expectations and things we'd like for you to participate in to help make the department successful. Recruitment. Recruitment for peer coaches would look like encouraging students to apply for different student staff positions, attending info sessions for either of those positions, and helping out the day of group process where we have to interview and evaluate possible candidates for our new team. That could also include hosting a candidate during GA recruitment or any professional staff recruitment that we might have, as well as sitting in on at least 2 student staff panels. Another form of recruitment that you guys will help us participate in are Bearfax Days. Make sure you pause the module, take a moment, and write down the dates for Bearfax Day. This is when you'll help your in-hall staff talk with prospective students that come visit our campus on weekends and sometimes during the week about how vital your position is to their success here at UCA. Speaking of being successful, here are a few other things that will help you be successful in the peer coach position. Make sure that you actively participate in all monthly all-staff programs. You'll have a number of academic-based programs that you'll need to complete yourself, and that includes a proposal for them and a timely evaluation. Failure to meet these minimum requirements could result in disciplinary action, so make sure that you're having constant conversations with your supervisor about how to actively encourage and recruit residents to participate in programs and in student organizations. As a peer coach, you will be responsible for completing a minimum of 10 coaching sessions with residents per semester. You are also responsible for completing 10 study lounge hours. Those hours should take place between Sunday and Thursday evenings between the hours of 6 p.m. and midnight. Coaches are also responsible for completing the assigned caseloads of students on academic probation each semester. Don't worry, you'll get more information on that from your supervisor. Once you finish your time during your programs and your study lounge hours, there's still an expectation of you to represent the university in a positive light. This means we need you to serve as a role model and not have any issues confronting inappropriate or negative behaviors when you see them on social media or when you attend events on campus. We expect that you will demonstrate behavior and actions that are inclusive to all members of the Residence Hall community. And we expect that you will support and promote diversity in the residence halls as well as on campus and throughout the Conway community. Last but certainly not least, do your best to avoid involvement in judicial matters regarding the residence hall. Now that you're done performing in the role of peer coach and university representative, don't forget to take a little time away for self-care. Peer coaches are expected to stay in their assigned spaces nightly and return to their building or complex by 2 a.m. nightly. Any request for an extension or a night away must be approved in advance by their supervisor. Any request to miss mandatory things like fall training, staff meetings, or Bearfax days must be submitted no less than 72 hours in advance to the supervisor. Of course, we understand that emergencies happen, but make sure you communicate those things as quickly as possible and don't make it a habit to not ask in advance. While we could never pay you what you're really worth to us, we attempt to give you a little compensation and thank you by providing room and board or a semesterly paycheck that's almost $3,500. You'll get paid bi-weekly, and you can set up a payment plan with student accounts to use this money to pay off any bills you may have at the institution. As a new coach, unfortunately, you're not allowed to have another job outside of our department. As an experienced coach, you can have another job outside of the department, but it must be approved by the assistant director and your supervisor first, and you're only allowed to have 10 hours of extra work. If you choose to not have an extra job, but you're super involved on campus, make sure you have a conversation with your supervisor early on in the semester about taking care of responsibilities and keeping life a little bit balanced. Again, if you start to struggle with everything on your plate, we'll have to have a conversation about your job status and what needs to go. Once you've been with us for a little while and you see how great it is to be a peer coach, it'll probably be time for you to think about whether or not you want to return to the position. I'm telling you, the academic year is going to fly by. But that's why we have you guys complete intents and go through the reapplication to keep your position. There will be one short one to complete in the fall, and then there will be a more extensive process that happens in the spring. Every student staff member has to go through this application process. One thing to keep in mind during your reapplication and intent process is whether or not you'll have large academic commitments coming up for the next semester or year, or if you'll be student teaching. We've noticed that there's a severe time conflict with student teaching, and we'd like to talk to you about resigning the position if that's something you know is coming up in your near future. Nonetheless, any questions that you may have, initiate that conversation with your supervisor so that everyone is on the same page. None of you will end up on the boat of probation or the island of termination, But if you're curious about how other people might have gotten there in the past, job performance, grade performance issues, not completing programs, not communicating well with their supervisor about different things, those are all things that could get you a ticket on the boat of probation or a one-way trip to the island of termination. Let's make sure that nobody ever has to go there. All of our student staff, including our graduates, are not allowed to engage in inappropriate drinking behavior, regardless of the age of the staff member. If you see this, or if we see you doing this, it needs to be addressed immediately. Please be responsible and make sure that you don't end up on the island of termination because you had one too many. In this position, you'll be privy to a lot of confidential and sensitive information. And this is why we have to follow FERPA, or the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. All information concerning students that you may receive should be handled with extreme care. Only communicate it up the chain, not across the chain, not down the chain, not to people outside of the chain. Talk to your supervisor directly. Other things that you should talk to your supervisor about if you notice them or if you're involved in said situation is relationships involving power differentials. This creates a major conflict of interest. You may breach trust, people may abuse power, other people may not act professional or ethically. So we ask that you don't engage in those relationships when you're on the same staff with someone. Well, folks, that's it. Thanks for listening to the PC module about what your agreement contains. And again, make sure you sit down and read the entire document and ask your supervisor any questions that you may have. Happy training!